we're having an exciting opportunity to be able to meet a young man whose name is Alex Grant. Alex, we're really glad that you're here with us today, and we're going to be looking forward to this time of exchange, and particularly about the ministry efforts that you are bringing in regard to outreach. And it's a very special kind of an outreach. It's outreach to young people. And maybe you could just share a little bit about what the Lord has been doing in your ministry.
The outreach that we do with Starlight Ministries, and my main focus is with youth, ages 24 and under, who are homeless and at risk. And really the crucial part about it is finding these youth who are on the streets, just really connected with the streets, and then giving them a better sense of positive community. For many of them, they are on the streets because of the fact that they don't have positive forms of community. They don't have positive role models. And for them, there's this disconnect. So we really just go out there and try to build and foster relationships. And that does take time, but the main thing about our volunteers is we're not going anywhere. We're going to be there consistently. And that consistency is really what builds that relationship and that trust.
Can you just share with us a little bit about why outreach is so very important?
Part of me actually believes one of the worst things that happened to the church was that it began to forget we were all broken, and it was Jesus Christ that really is healing with us. So the main thing the Lord calls us to do is go out to the streets for those who don't have that connection with a positive group, who don't have that connection with just a network of people who are supportive, who are loving to them. And so outreach really gives us the ability to do that, to go out to the streets, not just wait for people who are going through struggles to come to the church, but bring the church to the streets, really giving an opportunity for them to experience the love of Jesus Christ through us as an example.
Maybe you could just share with us a little bit about how many people there are that are really out on the streets that are experiencing brokenness that becomes so significant that people can't avoid it.
Actually, yesterday even, during one of the outreaches, they ran into a couple going through such a struggle right now, a family who has lost their job, lost their home, and now they have youth. And now the youth is really going through their own personal struggles that all youth and all of us really go through. The problem is, out on the streets, there are not always forms of positive community. There's a lot of forms of negative community. Those who will take advantage of you. Of course, if you haven't experienced that and nobody have told you this exists, how would you know? And so one of the main components of Starlight Youth and Starlight in general is to really find these individuals who can be taken advantage of and really just give them information.
Well, can you just share with us how you actually got started in this ministry? I know Starlight's been going for a number of years, but I'd like to know a little bit about how you became actually involved with it.
I got started actually just through being a volunteer and meeting up with Starlight Youth when they were in the development of their Sanctuary Arts community, which is an indoor arts-based community in which they can foster some of the things that they were doing, the activities they were doing out on the street through art and expression.
Can you just share a little bit about this whole aspect of the ministry with Sanctuary and how that fits together with this outreach?
One thing, especially when you're starting to build trust, it takes time. However, we found, and actually studies scientifically have found, that through art, youth, children, even adults who are going through different situations in their life, let's say they're feeling very dark emotions, that can be expressed through art in a way that everyone will be able to see, like, oh, that's what they're going through. And so Sanctuary's main component is to have that time off of the streets. When we did our outreach before our activities on the streets, it was great because they did get to express themselves, but they were still out on the streets. They were still hearing a lot of the things that were going on. The person who they perhaps smoked with a little while ago, they're still right there. Like, well, when are you going to finish with your artwork so we can get back to what we were doing? However, Sanctuary gives them the ability to come into an environment, a positive community full of people who are trying to support them. Let them know that there is something past all this, that they can get off the streets, get back into school, can reconnect with their family members.
Alex, can you tell us how Sanctuary is different from other in-house programs?
One of the main things that we do at Sanctuary is really integrate everyone into all the different activities, be it the family-style meal in which all of us eat together and have conversations together, the arts workshop in which everyone participates, in which some of the youth also lead the workshops, and the community and reflective time afterwards in which we sit down together and reflect on a piece. Sometimes we have a moment of silence. Sometimes we have a moment of prayer. Sometimes it's just sharing an open forum where you can share what's going on in your life.
How is the church, in the broad sense, able to connect with this kind of outreach and ministry?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. But one of the main other components of Starlight Ministries is we equip churches to really start building those relationships with the men and women and children and teens on the streets. And so, again, one of the best things that the Lord calls us to do is go out on the streets and do that type of outreach and really just be an example of His love. And so with Starlight Youth and Sanctuary, we actually have church groups who they formed a team in which they can come in either on a weekly or monthly basis, and they can be that consistent relationship person.
I want to just ask another question for you,
ahead.
and it's really to do with how other people could get involved and could be supportive and connect with you.
For the main thing, you could always contact Starlight Ministries through the different, just through our location in the Emmanuel Gospel Center on 2 San Juan Street. We're always available by email address too. For myself, it's agrant@egc.org.
Well, thank you very much. I'm so glad that you've shared these things, and we've got just to take a moment here and kind of close this time, but I really encourage people to really get excited about what God is doing in the city, on the streets. It's really where the rubber meets the road and where we are believing that God is going to manifest so much of what we're really in search of, because we are really looking for vitality. So until next time, thank you, and thank you, Alex, for being with us.
Thank you, Brant.